You also
Hold on one second. Hold on one second. Welcome to Meyes Media, where I give you nothing but the good shit, not that bullshit. We gonna start it off like that. I ain't got nothing else to say. We gonna get right into this content. Now, if you've been keeping up with aliens and stuff like that, you know that a lot of times they name this name. Usually they talk about the Greys and the little aliens with the big heads and stuff like that. We ain't talking about them. We talking about the Nordics, the people that when you to start talk about um, extraterrestrial craft that you've seen and you start coming up with evidence, they say that these Nordics come to your door. These some different type of Nordics, but they all say they see these tall, beautiful, blonde, white people, and they know they not human because they don't talk to them human. But this dude right here claimed to have seen one. So we're gonna listen to this story. Let's go ahead and get into this. Let's stop all this goddamn talking.
saw a Nordic alien.
I did.
Where did you see a Nordic alien?
On Orcas Island.
Okay.
I was visiting a friend there. I'll keep this one short. I was visiting a friend there, and I woke up the next morning after we were talking about a bunch of stuff, and he'd gone down to the store, which is quite a ways away from his property, to get some food. And so I'm like, oh, it's a beautiful day. I'm going to take a walk on his property. He had like 20 acres in the woods. So I start walking, and I come over this ridge, and there'd been no one out. And all of a sudden, there's this person who literally looks like a male model, like a Scandinavian male model with kind of longish blonde hair in a weird kind of more like European clothes, whatever. And they say, hello, Brent. Like they're about 20 feet, a little bit further down the hill. And I'm thinking, okay, I did not see his mouth move. First of all, how's he know my name? Secondly, I did not see his mouth move. And I was like, hello. And he said, turn around and walk the other way. And mouth's not moving, and he's not looking threatening. And I kind of was like, got it, on it, turn, and I walk away. And now I'm getting a little bit freaked out. I get a ways down and I look back and he's not there anymore.
Was he tall, blonde?
Yes. Now he was further down the hill. So I didn't have a chance to like look him in the eye, and like I'm 6'4", so I didn't have a chance to look at him and say, oh, this guy's 7'2" or whatever. But he was well put together, like a specimen, like an absolute specimen. So my friend comes back and I say, okay, I just had a really weird experience. He goes, oh, with one of those tall white people? I'm like, what do you know about them? And he goes, they have a compound on the Orcas Island. And he said, there's a lot of weird people that have compounds here because there's weird energy that comes like every couple, months. And they come in a black helicopter, unmarked, to a facility that's all gated. And there's about 8 of them. And they come here and they stay here for a couple days at a time, apparently when this energy is really high, and they get recharged.
Whoa.
And I'm like,
Wait a minute. See, that's the crazy part about there. They come down here in a helicopter, so that means the government know what's going on because they the ones that's providing them with helicopters. And they come into a compound where they getting recharged. Now, think about this in your mind. Where are they getting recharged from? That's what I want you to think. Put that in the comments. Where do you think they getting that charge from?
have you ever met them? And he goes, no, they don't. They're very select in who they meet. He goes, there's a story about a number of years ago. One of them came down into one of the pubs, right, and just walked through the door one day and said, I want to have a drink. And everyone's like, who are you? And he's like, I live up the way. And they're like, okay, cool. And he's like, so what's it like to live here? And they're like, on Orcus? And he goes, no, on Earth.
What?
Yeah. And everyone's like, okay, dude, what is going on here? And then he had a couple drinks and people had to like get him outside. And he's like, no, it's okay. I'll walk home, and then he left. And so now, is that urban legend on Orcus? Like, this was like,
Is it like a pretty prevalent urban legend?
yes.
On
I mean,
Orcas Island?
people, you ask almost anyone that lives on there, it's like, oh, those tall white people, like they come here but they're very private. They don't intermingle with people, but there's a lot
I have a cousin, I was telling you, who
Yeah.
moved there. I got to ask him about
Yeah.
the tall white Nordic
Yes.
aliens.
Yeah. So circling this all back to Disclosure Day, it's like, one of the things that Bryce and I talked about after we saw it was Spielberg told a really compelling story about gray aliens. That was not a human being. I don't know. It could have been a hybrid. So maybe not a true like extraterrestrial. Maybe it was an ultra terrestrial. Maybe it was like someone from Atlantis or, there's so many theories around the Nordics. I don't know. But that was not just a good looking man. He spoke to me without opening his mouth. Okay. So, but none of that is touched upon in Disclosure Day. The other species that many people have said, like,
No.
even at the highest levels.
Although there was one moment where Emily Blunt is in the hospital because she spontaneously starts speaking Russian and making clicking noises as a newscaster. And she looks out the window because there are men in black suits, presumably, I think from the FBI, who want to like ask her questions. She looks at them and she goes, they're not human.
Yes.
And so there's some ideas being seeded around elements of the intelligence community and the government itself not being human.
Correct.
Which is fascinating.
Right.
And I always think is the hardest part of this whole disclosure thing to grapple with is the idea that they're not only are they here, but they're probably in charge of disclosure because they have like this, 360 control over a lot of this stuff. And they're probably in charge.
And that's what I wanted to say too. A lot of these, that's who I think run the world. I don't think that the president and all that. I think this private group that you don't see, I think that's who run the world. And I think I can't say it's the Nordics, but for damn sure it ain't human. Ain't nobody got that much power over billions, even trillions of humans.
At the very least, chains of command within government, if not like the entire thing.
Right.
And like, that's really hard to say. Like, how do you go out? Then all of a sudden, disclosure is essentially ceding your control immediely. So like, how do you do that? How do you make a speech saying like, I'm not actually in charge?
Right.
What do you know?
No, I absolutely agree. We've talked about this too, that, the minute that disclosure moves into, it's not just people coming to visit us from outer space, that it's much more kind of anything from Lovecraft, which is like really scary. They're all around us, to, body snatchers, where it's like a bunch of humans that you think, your neighbor might be an alien or might be a hybrid. The minute you move into the X-Men thing, we're back to the Red Scare. We're back to, well, wait a minute. So some of the people on this planet look like humans, but they're really aliens, or they're presenting as aliens. They're shape-shifting, whatever they're doing.
And before he even start anything else, that's the crazy part about it. There are people right now who live amongst us that are human, half alien hybrids and don't even know it. Don't even know it. That's the crazy part.
I don't like that, right? Because then how do I know? Now I don't feel, not only am I not the apex predator on the planet, I don't know who to trust or who to believe. You're into like a whole, that's to me, when people talk about ontological shock, it's not just, oh, you're going to remove your free will. It's like, I don't know who I'm interacting with anymore.
Yeah.
Why would I go out?
Yeah. I mean, like clearly the veil is thin with you.
Yeah.
I meet occasionally people, and I identify with this myself somewhat, where like they just have an absurd amount of weird synchronicities in their life. And there's something going on. And I don't know if it's a gradient between that and like, normal people who just, have like goals to like live, at the behind the white picket fence in the house, and, and they just want the job and they want to become partner or whatever, whatever. Yeah. But that is a type of person that like, it's like these serendipity maximizer, synchronicity maximizer types where things just kind of happen around them. And I don't know what that is. Do you have any theories? Do either of you have any theories?
I don't have any stories that rate with that. We actually have one synchronicity story that came out between the two of us. When we started working together, Brent was admiring my UFO books, and he was like, "Hey, you have a lot of UFO books." And he said, "Have you ever read them?"
Yeah, enough of all that. But anyways, if you want to go check that out, go ahead to Jesse, Jesse Mitchell clips. You know what I'm saying? Check the rest of that interview out. It was a good interview. It got a lot of information about the Nordics and stuff that you don't know. But the one thing I could say is that if you think that humans, us, that we the only person on this planet, your ass need to wake up. That's all I'm just saying. Your ass need to wake up. It ain't all these people just seeing alien crafts and just seeing these gray little aliens run around and it's just a bullshit story. No, you need to go check out them FBI files that they put out that nobody is going to read because you know black people, they don't read shit any goddamn way. But you need to go read them goddamn files. It's a lot of shit, especially what JFK was trying to do, and he ain't here no more. But there's a lot of things inside this UFO, inside NASA, inside this private government that hold all the UFO spacecraft and technology and all this stuff that they don't want to tell us. Hell, they don't even want to tell the president what's going on. If you go see, they done told presidents, high-ranking marshals, and Purple Heart commanders and all kind of shit. They done told them no, they access denied. Who the hell is these people that's denying accesses? We gonna have to dig into that. That's gonna be my next story. I'm Jerome Meyes. This is Meyes Media, man. I don't know nothing about everything in the world, but I know one thing, that I'm gonna be researching and I'm gonna figure the shit out and we gonna report about it. So if it's news out there, we coming for your ass. Meyes Media. I'm out of this bitch.